So I have an important question today.
Yes. What is your important question?
Would we be different people if we had different names?
I don't know.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. We are Jama
And Nikki.
you're listening to According to with Nikki and Jama. We are talking about what is in a name.
What is in a name? As Shakespeare so eloquently said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Famously said by Miss Juliet, or if you're a cool 90s kid, Claire Danes.
Yes.
Really, it implies, right, that the essence of something is more important than what it's called. But, that got us wondering.
Always wondering.
Right. Would we be different if we had different names? And I am going to say yes. And I'll kind of make my argument because I am the one with the weird name.
You do have an interesting name.
Right. Okay. So that's what happens. So when it comes to names, we do judge a book by its cover. We really do. Because a resume, a name tag, when you've got a call list of contacts that you're reaching out to, you want to be correct, right? Like you don't want to be offensive. You want to say their name correctly, and that can be difficult. I feel like that's one advantage that I have because of my name. I do have a tendency to figure out how to say unique names the way that they are intended to be pronounced, but I know that not everyone is that way. And there's definitely a generational gap when it comes to names. There's a cultural gap very often, and it can be really interesting. I read this article that really spoke to me a couple of years ago, and it was by someone named Alessia. And there is an artist named Alessia, so she felt like her name was becoming more, more well-known, more mainstream. But she was making the argument for why unique names can be a burden, honestly, for a lot of people. And it's because, for the most part, your name goes hand in hand with your identity. And that's why I'm so intrigued when people are able to change their names or go by a nickname or accept a new personality with a new name. And how do you do that? I want to learn how to do that.
And as someone who has had so many nicknames,
right?
I mean, I'm a Nicole, and my middle initial is Andrea. So I've had Nikki Nicole, Nikki Ann, Nicole Andrea. Like I've heard all these things: Kiki, Coco, Nikki, Nick.
Nikki with two Ks, Nikki with a CK, Nikki with a Y or an I.
Yeah, how do you spell it? That's a whole nother thing.
Or they hear it on the phone. The phone is fun.
The phone is fun because you probably heard Nikki and thought, did she say Mickey or Vicky? And then when I try to phonetically spell my name, I'm like N as in Nancy because my name is not Nancy. It is Nicole, but I always forget like Nicole because it's short for Nicole. Right. When you go over to other countries, Nikki doesn't translate, but Nicole does. So sometimes I go by Nicole. For a long time in my professional world, I tried to do Nicole because it sounded easier to hear than Nikki because I did a lot of phone sales and phone conversations. So when you're doing that, you're Nikki or Nicole or Vicky or Mickey. Sometimes it works because when they're like, oh, I talked to Vicky. And you're like, oh, it wasn't me. I'm glad it wasn't me. And then the other hard part is when someone calls your name in public. Do you respond to everybody? Every Nikki, Nicole, Kiki, Coco? Or do you respond at all? Not respond at all. And so sometimes it's like I called your name and I'm like, sorry, which one? And so you sometimes tune out your name. And I'm sure like moms get that. Like mom. Every kid in the zoo calls for mom and every mom's head pops up. So it's like, so that can be a challenge. I didn't get hired in a job because of my name. Actual conversation with someone after the interview. During the interview was a panel of 5 people interviewing me for this director's position. And they said, well, do you go by Nikki or Nicole? And I'm like, you can call me whatever name, really, because I go by both. And they were like, okay. And later she told me she did not like that answer. She wanted to know if she should call me Nikki or Nicole. And what's so funny in the way I replied is, it really doesn't matter because you're going to call me whatever name you want to call me. I've had people, I've introduced myself as Nikki, and like a month later, they're like, "What's up, Nick?"
Oh,
yeah,
wow, real casual. Okay.
I've had people that have called me Nicole because when you get hired somewhere, they all put Nicole on your badge because that's your name,
Given name,
that's
formal name.
Yeah, that's the name that goes on the Social Security payment, right? And so then you get that, and then they're like, "You can call me Nikki," or someone walks in that knows you, is like, "What's up, Nikki?" And they're like, "You go by Nikki." And I literally had someone tell me, it's like I have two different identities because the person that greeted me is like Nikki, was like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in forever." And they looked at me like, "Who's that girl?" But Nicole is like prestigious, right? And serious.
You've even acknowledged that too. You're like, well, sometimes if I want to feel more professional, kind of put on my Nicole persona versus
Nikki.
Fun Time Nikki. Yes.
Yeah, right,
yeah.
like.
Which I feel is perfectly acceptable, and sometimes we have to do that. We have to put ourselves in boxes. But it was funny that you said that because I have a really good friend from college whose name his name's Kieran, right? And you may know there's like a Kieran beer, and it's a name that some people may be familiar with. But for whatever reason, the people in his office, which he has worked in for decades, they can't get it. They call him Karan.
Oh, okay.
So when I call the office to talk to him as my insurance agent, I have to say his name incorrectly, or they don't know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, "Oh, can I talk to Kieran? Do you mean Karan?" No, I don't, but you do. right.
That's how you learned it.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's how we learn it.
Right. And it's interesting that our brains can't always grow, can't always comprehend. And I think that having a more unique name that's what I feel like. It's made me adjust and be more conscientious to how do people want to be represented? Mm-hmm. What do they want to be called? And we in naming our podcast. I mean, that was
a challenge.
Yes.
That took a long time. And we changed the name like 3 times,
oh,
4 times. We're still like, should we just call it the Jama and Nikki show?
And we went through 100 different names that were intriguing to us, that were exciting, and that we liked. And then we do some research. And we're like, oh, here's a negative connotation, or here's how it could be misinterpreted. Oh, there's something like that already exists. Mm-hmm. Or does that sound like we're going to be talking about, yes, exactly what we're going to be talking about. Are we going to pigeonhole ourselves into certain topics if we go with this name? And it's all things to take under consideration when you're naming something, when you're naming a business, when you're naming your children, when you're naming your podcast.
Yeah. And the thought too is when we meet someone, we have so many expectations that we put on ourselves that I think because we are people who struggle with failure and making mistakes and embarrassment.
Yes.
Do you ask the person, how did they say their name? And then do you give the person grace while they're learning the phonetic way of saying your name? Because we're not all linguistics professionals, right? We all speak in our dialects, and sometimes our dialects prevent us from understanding or hearing other sounds. Right. Have you tried to speak French?
We're limited, right.
It is very challenging to speak French when ins and ins, like pen and pen, and those like little, it's tough. It's tough. If you don't have the ear for it, you can't pronounce it. So do we give ourselves grace to make the mistake? And do we give other people grace when they make the mistake? And I think that's part of the communication. If someone asks me what I prefer, I usually go by Nikki. Like, everyone knows me as Nikki. It got hard to explain how I'm known as Nicole here and Nikki there.
Right.
I've had an interesting dating relationship where the person knew me as Nikki, dated him for 6 months. Well, I ended up dating him for years too long, but dated him for 6 months. And when he introduced me to his family, he called me Nicole. And I literally looked around like, who's Nicole? You've known me as Nikki for a very long time. And now you're introducing me as Nicole? And then that spiraled into a weird, interesting.
Who do you want me to be?
It was very interesting.
Right.
And, that's a whole nother manipulation tactic, maybe. I don't know. And so with that being said, I often forget people's names. I can talk to you in a conversation and I might say, okay, remind me your name. Okay, remind me your name. Bear with me. It takes me a moment to learn names.
Okay.
And then if I don't see you for 2 or 3 years, I might have forgotten your name. Sometimes after the conversation and I go home, I'm like, okay, what was their name? Think of their name. Because I do try diligently to remember people's names and how they pronounce them. But sometimes it gets muddled in my interesting brain.
In the brain, right?
Yeah. So I think one thing we get to do, we get to have grace and patience for learning how people say their name, learning how people pronounce their name. And we also get to let people know us gradually. Because I can't know everything about you when I first meet you.
No. And be open.
And you can't expect me to know everything about you when I've never met you before. Right. Because that's a hard expectation.
How to pronounce your name or how to, yes.
Yeah. So
one trick that I do actually is when I meet somebody, I repeat their name to them. Like, so am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
And then I say it in my head a couple of times too. And then I do like the Michael Scott, like, I try to connect it with something else, like, oh, Nikki, she prefers Nikki. That rhymes with, if you do something or that
tricky Nikki,
picky
right?
Nikki. Something
I got picky Nikki a lot as a kid.
Yeah, and that seems to help. Or write it down as soon as you're done meeting them. I know that when I've gone to conferences and things where you have to wear a name tag, I very often phonetically write my first and last name. And I will tell you, some people don't even remember how to do long A's, soft A's. It's very, very interesting. One thing that we wanted to talk a little bit about too were some advantages and disadvantages of changing your name. But I did want to say too about assumptions. So when you meet somebody and you hear their name, right? Paris Hilton.
We pictured her in our heads.
We picture her in our minds. We think charmed life. Oh, Paris. It's
Hotels.
a fancy. Yeah. Clear. Her literally her last name is the hotel chain that her family owns. Her first name is a city. Like it feels exotic to most Americans, I would imagine. So you think an assumption about her, right? When you hear a name that's more unique and you think, wow, they had interesting parents, or like Lily Bloom, that's the character in a common book and movie that was released recently. Like you're like, or Soleil Moon Frye or something like that.
Moon Frye, yeah,
those are interesting names, but how it's interesting too how some of those stick in our mind. While, like you're saying, sometimes they are
disappear.
harder to remember. But we also make assumptions about ethnicity, gender, and when you're going into a situation like a job interview, and all they have is you on paper, right, or you on a screen, they don't know. Do they need you to fit into a box, like you were talking about not getting hired just by choosing, not choosing which name you wanted to be called? And I feel like I have not been hired because I came in and I was not the ethnicity or gender that they were expecting. I didn't fit the boxes that they needed to check. But then I go to Jamaica and everyone's like, oh, like, your name is our country. Like, so it was the only place I could find things. It can be an opportunity and not necessarily a put off. Because I will tell you, every first day of school, every substitute teacher, every time someone is reading a list of names and there's that inevitable pause. And I'm like, it's me. And then you get to the point where everyone in your class knows you. And so it's a substitute teacher and they just stop and everyone's like, it's Jama, and that's great. People know me by my first name. I sometimes feel like Cher, but it also comes with its own baggage.
And with that, we are going to take an inevitable pause, figure out how to pronounce our names, and come back after this short commercial break.
Firearms training shouldn't feel intimidating. At Precision Point Armory in Bethalto, we focus on safety, confidence, and real-world skills. Whether you're new or renewing your concealed carry, you'll get professional instruction without pressure. Learn safe handling, sound decision-making, and proper techniques tailored to your experience level. If you're looking for premium firearms training in the heart of Bethalto, Illinois, call 618-779-9947 or go to precisionpointarmory.net and train with confidence today. way.
Struggling with depression that just won't go away? At Precision TMS, we offer a non-invasive, drug-free treatment designed to target the areas of the brain linked to mood regulation. Using FDA-cleared transcranial magnetic stimulation, gentle magnetic pulses help reactivate underperforming brain circuits without surgery or sedation. Many patients experience real relief, even after other treatments haven't worked. Our experienced team provides personalized care every step of the way. Contact Precision TMS today to see if TMS therapy is right for you.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
What's up? It's Mike Keith. What's up, bro? Good, my guy. Back to spotlight other amazing alumni and how they discovered their path at Lewis and Clark. Let's jump into it. This is Tom Wells,
an assistant chief of the Godfrey Fire District. He has been a firefighter and an EMT for over 20 years. Tom is currently an instructor in the Lewis and Clark Paramedicine program and has 2 degrees from LC, fire science and nursing.
I'm Tom Wills, and I'm a trailblazer.
So simple and simultaneously very complicated. I know Nikki wants to talk a little bit about Shakespeare again and some of the over 1,000 words that he invented, right? Like,
Yeah.
came from his genius mind.
Which is interesting because sometimes you think words in commercial advertising, words are hundreds of thousands of dollars because they have taken so much time to make sure the word that you're saying fits kind of like what we talked about, picking a name,
Mm-hmm.
what box, what identity, how are we driving people to it? Those words are thought
Very
as
specific.
So when you're a commercial actor,
Mm.
if you mess up the word, they've spent thousands of dollars getting that. Even something as much as and, or, with, those are so important. So when you're doing a commercial and reading a commercial for a company, you say their words and all the words and you don't ad lib unless they give you license to ad lib.
right.
Most of the time commercials won't because they have branded, they've talked to psychologists because they want to know how you're going to buy and how you're going to spend.
Right.
They plant those
How it's
words
gonna be
in there
interpreted.
so that you'll buy their product. So it's very important that as a commercial actor, you don't stray from the script. The other thing is the brand name. When you're a commercial actor, you read the brand name differently with excitement. You're wanting the client to remember, you're wanting the customer to remember the name. So how you say their name is extremely important. And they look for that and they look for that delivery. You smile when you say their name because when you smile, you sound friendlier. With energy, they will cast based on how you read the names and the commercials. So that's so important. And Shakespeare knew that. And so when he created his sonnets and his language, there was this knowledge of how important words were. He had fun with words. So one of the words he created was alligator. I was really
Interesting.
surprised. I thought alligator was like known. I wonder what an alligator was called before Shakespeare called it an alligator. Because they existed before Shakespeare. I mean, they're a prehistoric creature.
Right.
So you have alligator.
Very interesting.
Bedroom.
Right. I
What
saw
was
that
a
on our
bedroom
list.
called?
A chamber, maybe, or it's amazing to me too how there's a couple of podcasts I listen to about lexicography. I don't know how to say the word clearly, but the origin of words and how they evolve and how they come to mean different things. And I think that's a little bit of what happens with our names as well, especially last names, right? A lot of those are attributed to a profession or where you are from. And those evolve with time because those professions come and go, or you move and relocate. And so we have a name like Black, that had to do with being a blacksmith.
Right.
Or like, didn't you look up yours and it had to do with being
Fiddler Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally a fiddler, a chord gesture.
Oh,
not surprising, right?
But
Kind of fits.
It's really,
Does that fit?
it is pretty fascinating. And like you said, it kind of goes along with that learning. Just the more we understand about ourselves and about other people, the better we can move forward.
And the only way
connect.
to understand and know each other or is to spend time with one another.
Absolutely.
Like the context of when we're around someone, the language that they are giving you without speaking is interesting. Because again, 90% of all communication is nonverbal.
There you go.
So we have to be in the presence of one another, which I love.
Speaking of nonverbal, kissing is attributed to William Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. He would know that.
Wow.
He wrote about a lot, right? I like the word critic. Everybody's a critic, right?
Right.
I'm sure there's some who
We're
have
excited
listened
to get some.
to our first show and was like, well, critics are important. I think we'll find that we are critical about some things. We'll have some conversations. That was created by Shakespeare.
Questioning. That's fantastic. That he came up with that. Well, maybe the word question existed, but questioning is attributed.
Okay,
to him.
here's the other
What's
one.
your favorite?
Yelping.
Wow.
When you say yelping today, what do we think?
It's weird because I think now of
Yelp,
the actual app, and when you're yelping, you're commenting, or critiquing, or writing a review.
I forgot to yelp, or yelping was usually high pitched cries, like
a puppy.
A puppy yelping. Yeah, but when I read that, I'm like, oh, yelp, you're a yelper, you're yelping, you're writing feedback on a site. So I thought that was really interesting. So
my favorite's Zany, though.
Zany. Skim milk, apparently. Henry the
But we do need to make a suggestion for our buddy Brian on his podcast of theories that there is a whole conspiracy that William Shakespeare never existed, and it was actually like a collection of
like
people
Marlowe
that wrote
and a bunch of people.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
that could be
it was a pseudonym
a dive into
something. Yeah, I'd love to hear more.
A group of playwrights.
Exactly.
Maybe Shakespeare wasn't the one who invented the words by himself. It was just a group of thinkers going out there and having fun with language.
Exactly. So Nikki and I had spoken previously about, besides all the paperwork that comes with changing your name legally, yes. That whether it's for marriage purposes, adoption, divorce, or
creative license.
Yeah, creative license, because, stage names versus given names. But that you were telling me that now, even with the Real ID that is being implemented for travel, you have to present your marriage license in order to prove that your name has been legally changed.
I think those are rumors.
It's true. No, it's true.
It's true. I thought they were rumors because I was like,
been married for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So she has been the name she has now for longer than the name she was, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Had to, you have to prove that you're you.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like your name is so closely tied to your identity, because it does it create who you are? Do you create who your name is? I feel like it goes hand in hand. And I know, like, we've had the privilege of naming our pets, so you can have some fun with it, and
your children.
Oh, right,
naming your children.
Who can be your children? But I know, like, I had a dog named McLovin, which at the time was, a movie reference. I thought it was hilarious. But when your dog is running reckless through the neighborhood and you have to scream the name,
you're like, McLovin.
You might feel a little silly. I still found it hilarious, but
of course,
Nikki's had literally a dog named Silly.
I did. Silly. Jean Sillypaw.
Oh, see,
he had a full name, and there was Jagger.
Right.
And then
no additional names needed. Just
no. I would
Jagger.
call him Jagger, Baby Boy, and I obviously spelled boy BOI.
Oh, must.
That makes sense. Because 90s.
Okay, there you go. I like
come on. So, and
but
then now there's Cosmos Valentino, and he's, even when you say it, he's fancy.
You're giving him
he's
a fancy...
the universe. He's adorable.
Maybe a sir one day.
Sir Cosmos Valentino. He will read all of Shakespeare's plays and sonnets.
Oh, I
and
believe
in
it.
the full iambic
Pentameter. That's
linguistics.
fun to say.
It's a
That's fun to
challenge.
say.
It's a challenge. Yeah.
But one thing I do encourage people to think about, no matter what you're naming, is how it's going to be perceived and interpreted potentially. So I know in naming like a child, I was thinking about what are the initials? Do they spell anything odd?
I had a friend during 2020.
Yeah.
Her child's initials, and I don't think she realized it, was CDC.
Oh.
And the child was born in 2020,
right.
Which is interesting because 2020 was all about the CDC.
Right. That was
and
the
then
whole news.
Then you're like, oh, you're a 2020 child. You're CDC. Did your parents plan that? And then that kid is going to have an interesting conversation when he's 40 about it just so happened.
Well,
but
it can be a
literally
fun
CDC.
conversation starter, but it also can hold
weight.
Some negative connotations.
It's a history marker.
Like we said, thinking about what rhymes with your name, like you were saying.
Tricky Nikki.
How will they write it? If you give a child a very long name, it might take them longer to learn their name, to write their name.
Fun fact, I did not know I had Andrea as my middle name. I thought Nicole was my middle name up until first grade.
Really?
Because I was always called Nikki Nicole. Nikki Nicole, get back here. Nikki Nicole, sit down. Nikki Nicole, I told you to go. So I thought my name was Nikki Nicole, which is why some of you see me on Facebook as Nikki Nicole. And it is because that's how my parents always called me when I wasn't listening. And then come to find out I had a middle name, and my middle name is Andrea, but it's spelled Andrea, which also was really hard for me to spell because I'm like, do I spell this O-N-D-R-E?
How does it be the way it sounds?
How do I spell Andrea when it's Andrea, A-N-D-R-E-A? So that gets really tricky too when you talk about a child learning their name. My parents didn't think about that.
Right,
They're like,
exactly.
We'll just teach them,
Exactly. And I feel like having a name that is, when people pause and they're like, oh, that's unique.
That's a clever
I don't know
name.
if that's a compliment.
I mean, I take it as who doesn't. I'm very unique. Let's just go.
Thank you. And that's what I'm saying. Does it
Mm-hmm.
make me unique just because I have a unique name?
Well, speaking of unique, we have some unique commercials coming up because that's how we pay the bills. That's how we keep the show going. If you would like to participate in the show and get some leverage with your
amazing exposure, and we'd love to have you in and chat with us. And
businesses and products and things that you have, you're invited. So let's check out who is a part of the programming currently, and we'll come right back.
Firearms training shouldn't feel intimidating. At Precision Point Armory in Bethalto, we focus on safety, confidence, and real-world skills. Whether you're new or renewing your concealed carry, you'll get professional instruction without pressure. Learn safe handling, sound decision-making, and proper techniques tailored to your experience level. If you're looking for premium firearms training in the heart of Bethalto, Illinois, call 618-779-9947 or go to precisionpointarmory.net and train with confidence today.
Struggling with depression that just won't go away? At Precision TMS, we offer a non-invasive, drug-free treatment designed to target the areas of the brain linked to mood regulation. Using FDA-cleared transcranial magnetic stimulation, gentle magnetic pulses help reactivate underperforming brain circuits without surgery or sedation. Many patients experience real relief, even after other treatments haven't worked. Our experienced team provides personalized care every step of the way. Contact Precision TMS today to see if TMS therapy is right for you.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
What's up? It's my Keith. What's up, bro? Back to spotlight other amazing alumni and how they discovered their path at Lewis and Clark. Let's jump into it. This is Tom Wells.
An assistant chief of the Godfrey Fire District. He has been a firefighter and an EMT for over 20 years. Tom is currently an instructor in the Lewis and Clark Paramedicine program and has 2 degrees from LC, fire science and nursing.
I'm Tom Wills, and I'm a trailblazer.
we go. We are learning every day.
Every day is learning. And I didn't understand why when I unmute them at the same time, it went yellow.
That was interesting. Maybe it's like a gradual fade in or something.
Maybe it doesn't want you to push 2 buttons at the same time. I'm always pushing buttons. So you would think.
Always pushing somebody's button.
That's an ear. No ear.
No ear? Okay.
And then
we're learning, everybody. So thank you for being with us. And
sometimes there's symbols instead of actual words. And if you're someone like me, I'm like, what does the ear mean really? Right. Can I only hear it in here? Can anyone else hear it? Is it going out? Do I hit the ear? Do I hit the it's interesting.
So like Prince,
like
where he was like the artist formerly known as Prince, and now he is just a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Kesha, who put a dollar sign in.
I think some of that was to buy the rights back off of his content.
Oh.
I thought that's part of how they
a strategy,
because he released everything. It's kind of like Kelly Clark's, or no, Taylor Swift just did this.
Yes,
she released everything in a like what is it? She did the new album, but it was just the guitar or something.
Acoustic.
That's the word. She released it in the acoustic form so she could buy the rights to all of that and compete with the original so she could own. And she put it in under her name, like
instead of the recording label.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you
I think Kelly Clarkson gave her that tidbit of information of like, this is how you get the rights back to your music.
Because when you get to a point in your career, I would imagine that you've generated so much content that and hopefully financially you're able to own it, because for the most part you don't, right? I mean, it's owned by the record label or producers or whomever was involved in it. So that's really interesting.
And I think that was something that Prince did to release everything under his music so he could then own it as the symbol, but as his name.
Very cool.
Which goes into identity.
So,
because we talked about that.
Exactly.
And when you mentioned bringing your information, when I was a banker, the challenges I saw when women did get married and change their names and have to prove that it was their account, and that was an identity
or fraud identity.
Yeah, it was very hard to keep up with. My heart goes out to all those tellers and bankers out there. And now everything's online. Where are those checks and balances, to determine this is how the loan is taken out or the house is purchased without showing those documents?
We want to know what's especially fun about my name. It's an acronym for the Journal of the American Medical Association. So if you Google me, the first many pages, if you just type Jama, which I think they actually say Jama or Jama, which are 2 ways that my name gets pronounced regularly, you will get just pages and pages of articles, because it has been a journal. It was, what did I tell you? It was like 100 years to the year of when I was born. It had been
a journal.
And
that actually came up in naming our show, because Jama was like, can we use my name and not get the Journal of Medical Association mad at us? Or
because
I'm like, they capitalize all their
they do.
They capitalize all their letters, and each letter stands for something. This is your legal name. But if that ever happened, we would have to say she was born with this name.
Right.
Like, we probably have to show has nothing to do with your content. We're not copying you. We're not trying. Like,
this is just my name.
This is just Jama's name.
Yep.
I love your middle initial.
Oh.
Tell them the story about the airport.
Oh, okay. So my middle initial is L. So if you can imagine that if my name is all capitalized, just first name, middle initial, and next to each other, it can look like Jamal. So this was a while ago, but I was in the Fargo Airport, and if you've ever had the privilege, it's about the size of this studio. You can see every gate. The security is very secure, even though it's very small. But I was early, so I had gotten on the wait list to get bumped up to an earlier flight if possible. And there aren't a whole lot of flights moving through there. There isn't a whole lot of passengers either. But this really tall black gentleman walked up to the counter, and I could see them in my periphery, him talking to the stewardess, and she's looked up at him and said, "Oh, are you Jamal?" And he was like, "Oh, no, ma'am, I'm not." And his name was, I don't even remember anymore, but it was something, more common. And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just have a note here for that if we had an empty seat, we would have Jamal step into that seat." And he was like, "Oh, no, that's not me." And I just looked up at them and I was like, "I'm Jamal." Because there was literally nobody else there. And they both looked at me surprised.
Then,
You're Jamal?
You're a Jamal?
And I was like, "Actually, my name's Jama. My middle initial's L, but it probably put that all together on your sheet." And they just thought it was the funniest thing. And I'm sure he was very, very tall. And so, again, I made the assumption, I'm like, he has to be here recruiting for basketball players or something. Like, he looked athletic. Like, I'm like, well, what else would you really be doing in Fargo? What's he doing? I was traveling for business. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there either. And they thought it was the funniest thing ever. And I'm like, maybe when you first hear it, but when you live with it every day, and literally the first thing you're telling most people when you're meeting them is you're correcting them for mispronouncing your name. And it gives you almost like I don't know, if it's a sad feeling. You're like, I hate to start off a relationship, a conversation with like, "You're wrong. Sorry, this is how you say my name."
But I mean, is it really a wrong thing? Like,
right.
I mean, you can't really.
Again, I don't fault them for it.
Right.
I'm like, it's okay, all day, every day. You'd really be entertained by the autocorrects that I get for my name.
And I have Jenna, my sister, and both Jenna and Jama autocorrect. So funny.
All kinds of things.
And when you're texting, plus my talk to text is very interesting anyway. And my typing to text is also very interesting because I don't take time to like really look what I'm typing, and I just button smash and say, go for it. And it's not T9, so I can't feel the button.
Right.
And half the time I'm not really looking at what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just
That's
like
the difference,
doing
paying
it.
attention.
But it is challenging, and I can see where that can because here's the thing. The person you just met didn't know that you've probably corrected 30 people that day. Whether you talked on the phone to someone or you filled out a form and it wouldn't spell your name.
I was on sales calls, so I was meeting all new people.
All new people all the time. Mm-hmm. And so when you're caught in those moments, you're like, okay. And I can see how, because that person doesn't know, and I can see how when you have the same experience over and over and over again, you can start feeling like, does everyone?
Am I crazy?
Like how does this come on? Like, how do I correct this without feeling annoyed for the thousandth time of saying it?
Exacerbated.
But I think that's the fun part about meeting people.
Right. It's a new page
learning
every
how
time.
How your name even came about. Mm-hmm. How did your mother discover Jama?
Well, I didn't have a name for many days, but it's the first two letters of my mom's name and first two letters of my dad's name. So it's J-A, James, M-A, Mary. So James and Mary together. If you like Irish whiskey, Jameson. Mm-hmm. Irish whiskey is basically like James' son. Mm-hmm. Which is becoming a first name now, and also, obviously traditionally a last name. But when I was at Schnucks recently, there was a checkout. The guy that was checking out, his name was Jameson, and the guy that was bagging, they say, "Oh, you've got rewards," and they're like, he stopped and he was like, "Is your name Jama?" And I was like, "Hey, yeah, you got it. Awesome. Good job." And I was like, "Wait, your name's Jameson." And the guy that was bagging looked up at us and he's like, "Is he your son?" Like, that's serious.
Just
joking. And we all just started laughing.
Jameson.
I was like, finally we get to meet. Like, he was, probably 20 years old.
And
but yeah,
finally
it was cute.
that moment of your name got to like make this amazing connection. And then what an improv moment. Like, that could be so much a skit on SNL.
Absolutely.
Like, perfect. Like the Target lady, right?
Yeah.
You're just sitting there. That's a beautiful moment.
Yeah,
and you guys will
cool.
always have that. And if you meet him again, he'll be like, "Hey, Mom, what's up?"
I've seen him again, yeah. And I was like, "Hey." I was like, I don't know if he remembers, but yeah.
You don't really forget too
when
much.
You meet your mother.
Like when you meet your mom that you haven't met ever in your life. But it is interesting. And I like your name, and I think you wear it well. I think it fits you. It's part of your personality. You took ownership of it. You don't apologetically say your name as if you've hated it all of your life, which I know you've had challenges with it.
I've always wanted to change it, honestly. with Jamie being traditionally a male name,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's, there's a lot more females named that now too. Even James has become a female name. I just never knew what to change it to. That's why I think
'Cause
I'm
you're the only
fascinated when
Jama.
people have, I have nicknames, but they're not like names.
I mean, I call you Jamal
that I
every
want-
now and
right,
then because
it's
I love
not a
that
name
story.
that
I'm like,
I'm
what's up, Jamal?
going to give, like give someone when
You can
I'm
call me Jamal.
meeting them. right. I've had, many, many nicknames, but none that are like, okay. So I feel like, again, that I'm tied to it and I don't know what I would change it to.
And I know that I know there's another Jama in this area. And then when I was in...
I've seen it on a license plate.
And
I've never met another Jama. Never.
I met one in Africa.
Oh, yeah.
On my trip
right.
to Africa, when I was in Rwanda, went to a church and ran into someone. And you know how you just randomly start talking to people? Maybe that's just me, but you strike up conversation and you meet each other. And she said her name was Jama. And I literally took a picture with her and sent it to Jama and was like, I met another Jama in Africa. And she was from Canada. So how fun was that?
That's wild.
Just...
I will say, I say this often too, I would kill for a Y or an I, only because I think that when you're reading a name, that gives you that long A sound. You're like, oh, okay, this is how this is supposed to be pronounced. And I know when we've had friends that were having kids and telling us names that they would like to name their children, I'm like, please make it easier on them. Like, spell it as phonetically as you can. Make it simple for them and for everyone around them. It just, I know that there is a struggle both ways. When everyone in the room's named Nicole, that's not fun either.
My graduating class of high school, I think there was 7 Nickies or Nicoles.
Ooh, okay.
And every teacher had a different nickname for all of us. And I was Fiedler. Because
I wonder why.
Everybody else was Nikki and Nicole. One
And
person
you're
was Princess Nikki.
Oh.
And then I was Fiedler. What's up?
You couldn't be Dame?
Well, Dame. And then, in high school, I wanted to be something other than Fiedler. But then Brockhouse, he called me Hollywood. So I was like, all right, Brockhouse, we can do that. I love that.
We were just reminiscing about him the other day.
I miss him. He was always a fun coach, and he'd be like, Hollywood, what's up? And I was like, not much, Brockhouse.
And you remember the ones who gave you a nickname that you like.
Yeah. The not, what up, Fiedler?
Exactly.
I'm here.
Exactly. I did do a little digging on the meaning of your name. Do you know?
Oh, my name?
Yes. Do you know the origin? Nicole.
Nicole, I think it has something to do with, there's the goddess of victory or winning for the people or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, you're totally on the right track. So derived from the Greek Nikolas, right? It's the traditional feminine version, meaning victory of the people.
Victory of the people.
Common in French-speaking regions. So gained popularity in the 20th century, particularly the 70s and 80s, noted for its balance of elegance and strength.
So my mom told me she picked out that name from a soap opera. So there was an actress, and I don't know if the character's name was Nicole, I think or the actress's name was Nicole. And so at first she thought Amanda, or she was going to name me Amanda Nicole or Nicole Amanda. And then she named me Nicole Andrea. And my dad's middle name is Andre. So,
oh, yes. There you go. That's your connection.
That's That's
really
so
cool.
I am not dramatic at all from getting a name after a soap opera. It doesn't fit at all. It doesn't fit. I don't know. Is that why I'm a little dramatic? Is because my name was intended after a soap opera star?
I do like this, like a similar version is Nicolette. Which
Nicolette.
I think is
knew a Nicolette.
Pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Nicolette that went to Alton High, I believe.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
I think she went by Nikki. I think.
There you go.
I could be wrong.
And then
it was a long time ago.
Super popular boy's name is Cole,
Oh,
which to me is like
Nicole.
Back to the back to like a male version of Nick. Nicole, which I thought was really interesting. But we did say one time when we were hanging out with some other Nikki Nicoles, we're like band name.
Yeah, band
Nikki
name.
Nicoles.
The Nikki Nicoles.
Which I think is cute. But
and so, what did you look into your name? Jama, other than Journal of a Medical Association.
Yeah.
Because you don't
of
really...
the American Medical Association.
Because that name's unique and doesn't
then
exist.
my last name is a disease of the heart. So if you look up both, you get all kinds of fun
medical things. So I'm wondering why you didn't go into the medical field.
Blood makes me pass out.
There you go. Maybe it's opposite. Like your name meant this so much, you're like going this way.
No, thank you. Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
But I think
hilarious.
it is really cool now that you can get so many things customized too. You know, like when you go to those travel stores and they have the little license plates and they're only going to have so many names, right? But I think it's really neat. I always had to get like Cutie Pie or
right, because you're like
random
Jama.
thing. Yeah.
Well, and Nicole is sometimes spelled with an H.
Right.
And Nikki is sometimes spelled like with a Y or whatever. Right. So it was not, I didn't always find Nikki or Nicole's because they would throw an H in it or it'd be like N-I-C-K-Y. And I'm like,
I remember the first time I got a backpack from LL Bean where you could like put your name on it. And I was like, that's my name on it. A fanny pack to match, of course. Yeah. You gotta have the whole set.
Now I'm branded.
Yeah. It's me. And that was a big thing we talked about when naming our podcast too. Like, yes, this is us, and this is we want to be our brand. We are our brand, but also,
what is our brand?
Do we want to always be our brand?
Right.
You know,
when do we get to hide from it or run from it, or is this
and
what
can be complicated? And I think that's interesting too. Looking at businesses, you know, especially locally, which have names that are their family name, but then, like you said, as people get married, names change. Then no one is no longer that name of that business anymore, but you build a brand and then you don't want to change that name of the business. So,
well, and that's how we came to naming Bluff City Betties. Had a whole, we thought of Bluff City Betties, the name 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It was a long time ago. I guess probably 10 or 15 when we kind of played around with it. So we always had it in our mind, and it came from like the Betty. Like it came from the line in Clueless, where Alicia Silverstone, and I don't know if that's how she pronounces it. Is it Alicia or is it Alicia Silverstone?
Alicia
Silverstone.
Which we know a number of people who
are
have that
Alicias
name.
and Alicias and Alicias, and you never know how to pronounce that one unless they tell you, and then you have to remember which friend pronounces it that way.
Correct.
So, or you get so custom of pronouncing your friend's name their way that when someone says, "Oh, it's this way," you're like, "I can't remember that now."
My brain's
like, we have a friend who spells her name Liesa for Lisa, you know, and so that's a challenge. Liesa. And so then I'm like, "How do you spell your name?" Like, hi Lisa. So with the Clueless, she looks at a picture of her mom and she's like, "Isn't she a Betty?" And Betty is just a name for a beautiful, cool, awesome woman. Right. And
we started doing research into like
they're skaters. They were like hipsters, like moving. I guess you would call them hipsters of their day. Right. But it was just a woman who broke the boundaries, who found herself being creative and unique in her own world, and kind of went against the grain a little bit.
Right. Being true to herself, and
Betty White was the ultimate Betty. And then Betty Grable, Betty Boop.
Yes, there's so many, and Betty is a nickname very often for Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So, which sounds like a little more formal, a little more regal or whatever. And, that's why I'm always fascinated. Like, how do you go from having this name to like, this is who I'm going to be?
Right. Like Elsbeth. I just watched, if you've watched the TV show Elsbeth, it's a spinoff of The Good Wife. If you've ever watched that. But Elsbeth is this quirky, I don't even want to say quirky. She is a lawyer who...
Are you saying quirky?
Quirky?
Or quirky like a cork?
I don't know. Do you say it different? It's quirky and quirky different? Is it really? Like quirky and quirky. My mouth has to do so much to make those different syllables soundings. And
again, that is something is a limiting factor for some people.
Because it's quirky.
I have noticed like
quirky?
Some grandparents that if they meet me new, they can't. They're like, Jama, no, not happening.
Is it Jama? Jemima?
I'm just gonna call you Jamie.
What's up, Jamie? I don't know why I went southern with that.
I don't either.
Old grandma and grandpa sitting on the farm.
Okay, wait, but is it Elsbeth? Like
no, it is
E-L?
Elsbeth, and she talks about that in the show because everyone cannot pronounce her name.
Lisbeth? Isn't that another version?
There's
Liz and
but
Lizzie?
it is literally Elsbeth.
Okay.
And that's what's so cool about the show, which I think you would absolutely love because she's always correcting people on how to spell it, how to say
I
it.
gotta watch it.
And she wears bright colors.
Oh, I like
And
that.
she carries bags everywhere. And she's in New York City. She was a Chicago lawyer, so she's going to New York, and no one knows what to make of her because her brain works really fast. She connects things. She connects the dots. She puts these puzzles together. She sees things that like just make sense to her, but not to everybody else.
Right.
And then she has to
Can't
prove
explain it. Yeah.
how it fits. And she's redhead, kind of just this unique individual that doesn't fit in, and she's not trying to fit in. She's like, I have accepted that I am unique,
right?
And I show
she's
up
owning it
as I am, and I like that show a lot. It could because of that, but yeah, her name is Elsbeth.
Okay,
to go on that,
I'm intrigued. I definitely want to watch it. I know, like a show we used to watch, Heart of Dixie.
Oh,
everyone had like cute Lemon.
Oh yeah,
like cute
Lemon
names.
Breland.
Like, oh my, like who names their kid Lemon? But it fit her so perfectly, and like it was just adorable. Like I don't know, it's Wayne.
So what is in a name? And have you out there been
in the struggle?
Had the same challenges, had multiple nicknames. Have you struggled with deciding
identity,
what you name your child?
Yes.
For instance, when you were coming up, because who came up with baby names? Like I had baby names when I was a kid. I was like, if I have a child, I'm gonna name. What was the name?
Them.
Vera Soleil.
Oh, Soleil.
Vera Soleil was the first
means like sun,
name. Right? Mm-hmm. And Vera was a play. I played a character.
Oh, okay.
Vera Claythorne in used to be called 10 Little Indians. They don't call that play that anymore, but it was an Agatha Christie play. I don't know what they named it now, but that's how old I am. That I was in a play that you cannot be named anymore because it's inappropriate to call people Indians that
are not from
are
the
not
actually
India. Or Indian or Native or American or indigenous.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough word.
Indigenous. Which Agatha Christie's character, like the person, Agatha Christie.
She's prolific. I cannot believe
she
how many stories she has.
She staged her own death to leave her when she left her husband.
Why would you not?
And he was blamed for her murder for a very long time, and then she just showed up like, "Hey, I just did this on purpose to drive you nuts." Absolutely,
legend,
legendary. Talk about hiding her name, and she went under the name of the mistress. That's how she was hiding. She used the mistress's name when she went into to the hotels everywhere she went to kind of like show the history of like, well, this is why I did what I did because you have a mistress.
Right.
So she went as a different name, which I thought, and that's just the rumors though. No one's been able to prove it. That because she is a mystery novelist.
Right.
But yeah, Vera Soleil. And then
beautiful.
I like the name Jama.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that.
Because I thought, okay, I've got you in my life, my sister, my grandma was Emma, and my other grandma's Virginia. There's all these names.
And that won't be confusing at all.
Gemma is beautiful.
Another thing that I am, like, constantly amazed by is when people pass down names. So, like, my uncle is the third, right? And he was like, we're done. We're not naming anybody else this name. Like, how confusing it must be in one household when everyone has the same name. Or like George Foreman. Did he name all of his kids George, even if they were female? Like, how, again, your identity, you don't have one because you're all the same.
In my grandma's family, there was Slim, because grandma's Virginia, but they would call her Jenny. So there was Slim's Jenny, and there was Bud's Jenny, and I think Vincent had a Jenny. So there were like 3 Jennies. And so her...
And how do you get the nickname Slim?
Well, she had another brother named Tudor.
So, I'd rather be Slim.
And her husband was Bud.
Okay.
So, like, there's some interesting names coming from my family. There's...
and depending where you're from, sometimes everybody has a nickname. In sports, I was always like, this is so cool that, like, you're Skip and you're Kip and you're, Which
also leads us to ask, if you could pick your nickname... Right. what would you pick it? I would still go by Hollywood. I think Brockhouse gave me the funnest, and I'm sure he called everybody Hollywood. I don't know if anyone else got called Hollywood. I'm claiming it. Thank you. No, I'm just teasing.
He probably just never knew my name. So.
Well, we really appreciate you all spending time with us this wonderful Saturday morning. And
I do have one last question.
One last question before we go.
While we're on the naming topic.
Let's go.
If you had to choose a theme song for your life, maybe it's a song with your name in it, or the name you want to be, or who you want to be, what song would you pick and why? That's just the music that plays in Nikki's head.
Literally, that is the song that's always like and bumping in my head. Like
Living in a circus?
Circus music.
Okay.
Just throw that out there.
Every day, really.
What about you?
I know everything reminds us of a song. So
yeah.
We like music.
So what's your theme song?
Well, I was thinking, like, same thing that, like, my name's never in anything, but it sort of is. So, like, Bad Mama Jama. Mm-hmm. I've gotten that one a lot from, from nicknames. Jammin', Bob Marley. We're jammin'.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody used to sing that to me in school regularly. And My Girl, only because I had a friend, again, that would change the lyrics. Instead of singing My Girl, would say, Jama.
Oh,
and I was
perfect.
like, oh, I love that. Yes.
There's a couple songs.
Sunshine on a Cloudy Day. So I liked it.
There's a couple songs with my name in them. The one that my dad would sometimes sing would be, Oh, Nicole. And it's literally, I don't remember the name. Dire Straits.
Okay.
I think that's the name of the band, Old Nicole. And it kind of sounds like she's strung out. Oh, no. And you used to be whatever, and now you're gone and strung out. And then there's Darling Nikki, which I cannot repeat some of those lyrics on air. So those I got sung to. A lot of people would bring those to my attention with my name in it. So yeah, there's songs with our names in it. Mm-hmm. So as you're thinking about your Saturday and going along your day, let us know.
We just gave you a
playlist. Go listen to some fun songs and continue listening to us next Saturday. You have been listening to According to
with Jama
and Nikki,
a podcast by two women who are living it, learning from it, and laughing through it.
We talk business, community, relationships, and everything in between. The wins, the lessons, and the moments that keep us connected. Because
when we know more, we can do more.
Yes, we can. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to According to.